Hello all, welcome back to editorial analysis and answer writing practice session at 9 p.m. Friends, if you are watching this video series for the first time, then please watch my first introductory video on this initiative to know how to participate in this answer writing program. It is open to all, everyone can participate. The video is available in our playlist, you can watch it. So in today's editorial discussion, we will be discussing an editorial which appeared in Indian Express. The Indian Express editorial was discussing about the female labor force participation. So we will discuss that topic from our UPSC exam point of view. So before going into the female labor force participation, let me give you a brief idea about what is this periodic labor force survey. As the name says, it is a survey which is released periodically. That survey gives you an estimate of employment and unemployment rate in India. So periodic labor force survey will give you an estimate of employment and unemployment status in India, and this survey is released by National Statistical Office. On a quarterly basis and also on annual basis, the statistics will be released. The statistics will give you the picture of employment unemployment level at urban centers, at rural centers, among men, among women, at different layers we will be getting inputs. So by analyzing the previous year's periodic labor force survey, we are able to observe there is a significant increase in the female labor force participation. So if you take the 2019-20 periodic labor force survey, the female labor force participation was roughly 30%. Then it became 32%. Now in 22-23, it is 37%. Though it is increasing, but when we compare our female labor force participation to the global average, we are falling behind. So global average is almost 50%. But in India, we have achieved only 37%. If you take our neighboring country, Bangladesh, there it is almost 45%. So there's a huge scope for improving the female labor force participation. As per the World Bank estimates, if India achieves a female labor force participation of 50%, then Indian economy will grow by 8%. And by 2030 only, we will be achieving a $5 trillion economy status. Now, this essay is discussing about various issues pertaining to the labor force participation, that is female labor force participation. So we will also discuss those issues. So what is preventing the women to participate more in this labor force? That is what we are going to discuss. The reasons are at multiple levels. It has multiple dimensions. There are various social factors, economic factors, factors at household level, factors at societal level. Everything is interlinked, and it is putting a lot of stress and pressure on women participating into the labor force. So we will try to understand one by one. So if you take education, right, we are seeing an unequal access to education for women. When compared to men, women do not have an equal access to education. There is an inequality here. That too, specifically, if women wanted to do higher education, they are prevented. If women wanted to do STEM, they wanted to prepare, they wanted to study STEM courses, science and technology, engineering, medicine-based courses, again, you will see a kind of inequality between men and women. So, unequal access to education. Right? Unequal access to skill development, unequal access to new age technologies. But after gaining some education, some skill, even if they go to a job, there is unequal payment between men and women. So if we take formal sector, men earn at least 1/3 more than women. Statistics says that the wage difference between men and women is almost 34%. That means if a female is earning 100 rupees, men is earning 134 rupees. Among casual laborers, the difference will be almost 50%. If women is given 100 rupees, men will be given 150 rupees for same job. One side, unequal access to education, unequal wages. Even after getting that wages, if you look at the job site, if you look at the infrastructure, that will not be gender sensitive. It will not be sensitive to women. For example, how many organizations are having dedicated toilet facilities for women? Even the infrastructure is not enabling. Okay, even after working an organization with a compromised infrastructure also, what about women's safety? We have a lot of legislations to prevent such sexual harassments in the work site. But however, we are still seeing every single day we are seeing harassment faced by women in the workplaces. So there are so many unequal access between men and women with respect to education, with respect to skill development, with respect to jobs, with respect to payments, with respect to infrastructure, with respect to safety. So keeping all this away, if a woman wants to become an entrepreneur, what about the access to financial services? So a woman wanted to become a job giver, not job seeker. In that case, what about the access to financial services? See, okay, within the household, do you think that women are able to get equal inheritance of the family assets? No. So financial services are also not completely available for women. We are seeing denial at different levels. Right. See, apart from the think about a mother who wants to work, if there is a proper daycare center which can take care of the children, crèche facility in the work site only, then that will become more enabling for that mother to go and work. But do you think that we have such kind of sensitive infrastructure? Definitely no. Apart from this, the society is having various expectation from the women. So women is expected to perform certain functional roles inside the household, only then she can go and work outside. So women is expected to perform some expressive roles, caregiving roles inside the household. Already that is a burden. Now, after completing all these performances, if she wants to go and participate in the labor force, that is going to add double burden. This double burden will also prevent the women from joining the wage labor market. Right? And also, after all these things, if a woman wants to come and participate in the job market, what is the prospects? What kind of jobs are available for women? Largely, expressive roles are given to women: receptionist, nurse, teacher, daycare center caretaker, something like this. There's something called as glass ceiling effect. A woman will enter into an organization, but the woman cannot climb and become a leader. How many corporates are having women CEOs? How many corporates are having women at leadership positions? Right, this is called as glass ceiling effect. So all these reasons are actually preventing, or it is not encouraging the women to actively participate in the labor market. So what shall we do? How to address these challenges? So these challenges should be tackled at various levels. For example, let's take the role of government. So government should have a proactive role in creating an enabling environment where women can easily participate in the labor market. The gross enrollment ratio of women at school, at higher education level, in skill development program, that has to be increased, for which exclusive schemes government has to come up with. Yes, government has various schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, through which government is creating a campaign, awareness, explains about the significance of women education, everything is great. Right? But today, what we require is even more active involvement of government in coming up with various incentivizing programs which makes women to choose higher education, choose STEM courses, science and technology, engineering, mathematics, like medicine, those courses. Right. So government should actively think about reservation. See, of course, we have a bill which was passed in the parliament regarding reservation in the parliament for women. But why don't we have reservation for women at different sectors, at different levels? See, we all know about Manrega program, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program. That program in which 1/3 of the workforce should be given for women. There is a kind of reservation practiced in Manrega forces, Manrega program. Like that, why don't we come up with a reservation policy or a reservation like policy at school level, at college level, higher education level, in STEM courses, in job market? We can also, government can also incentivize the private players indirectly to encourage these kind of reservation for women in the private sectors. All this will encourage the women to effectively participate more in this labor force. There are so many laws which needs proper enforcement. We have Maternity Benefit Act. We have Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act. See that Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, that act is asking every company to set up an internal complaints committee at every organization level. But Supreme Court only recently they expressed their disappointment that not many companies are setting up that internal complaints committee. So there is a law, but that is being poorly enforced. So government should take proactive steps to incentivize women's participation at educational institutions, at skill development program, and also into the job market. Similarly, government should take more efforts to enforce the existing laws which can benefit the women and improving the female labor force participation. Everything government alone cannot do. The private should also come up with some measures to improve the female labor force participation, but government can indirectly incentivize the private players for creating such enabling ecosystem. Right. Similarly, if you take India, the contribution made by manufacturing sector to the GDP, to the GVA is actually declining. Government should focus more on strengthening and developing this manufacturing sector contribution. What is the reason, sir? Because manufacturing sector is more labor intensive. And even in manufacturing sector, areas like apparels, footwear, in these sectors, the women participation will be even more higher. So government should focus on improving the manufacturing contribution into our economy, and government should give a thrust over those sectors where there is more natural female force participation. For example, if you take Bangladesh, I was mentioning in the introductory part that they have a female labor force participation of almost 45%. They were focusing more on this apparels, focusing more on this footwear, where a lot of women labor force was engaged, and that significantly increased their GDP and also female labor force participation. So government should take up more thrust on this manufacturing sector specific to areas like apparels, footwear, etc. And we should also come up with some flexible job options. See, I was mentioning about double burden. Already women are faced with some burden. So we have to come up with some flexible job options. For example, flexible timings, freelancers, part-time jobs, right? All these can encourage women to make use of their time to engage in this labor market, maybe in full-time or part-time also, but some flexibility should be given. Menstrual leave can be institutionalized. So in 2003, from 2000, early 2000 only, this topic of menstrual holidays is being widely discussed. Some countries are also actively implementing this idea of providing leave during the menstrual race. Right. So maybe in India, we should think about it. Not just government, even private organizations. They should actively consider about this menstrual holidays. Right. So we have to create some flexible work options. We have to change the stereotyping of women. The societal opinion about women has to be changed. The societal attitude, the patriarchal attitude has to be changed. See, women participation is very important, not because their contribution is going to significantly improve the country's economy. Country's economy is okay, fine, but more than that. When we say India, it's about we people. When we say we people, that includes men and women, right? So when the economic growth, when the development, if that is going to be exclusive to men, and we cannot say India is developing. So if we want to have an inclusive growth, every section of society, not just women, all vulnerable sections should also have their due share in the labor force participation. And women is the most vulnerable section among all. In any section of society, if you see, women is the most vulnerable. So it is the moral obligation of everyone in this country to improve the female labor force participation, so that when women is getting financial autonomy, that will help women to attain that empowerment. Right? So, and also our government has an ambitious target of becoming a developed nation by 2047. In the previous video also I was explaining how MSMEs can play an instrumental role in that attaining Viksit Bharat status, developed nation status. Likewise, definitely by improving the female labor force participation, we can become not just a developed economy, we can become a #1 country also. Right? So I hope today's topic was useful to your preparation. Now, based on our discussion, let me give you a question. Recent reports indicate that the female labor force participation rate in India has been increasing. However, it remains comparatively low on a global scale. Discuss the reasons behind this and suggest potential measures to address this issue. So this will be a 15-marker question. So you have to write 250 words. So you plan your answer accordingly. So I hope this initiative is adding value to your preparation. So I will see you on Saturday with the feedback session. So you all have submitted your answers. And for today's question also, you'll be submitting the answer before 12 p.m. tomorrow. So I will pick up the best answers and I will give you a feedback session on Saturday. See you on that video. Till then, bye. Take care.